Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a pleasant morning. Welcome to the Magnificent 7 communication series, A Plus Factor to Gain Industry Insight. We would like to extend our warm welcome to our guest of honor, Yang dihormati Mr. Joe Najib, a trainer from JN PowerPoint Training, Yang berusaha Dr. Siti Zanaria binti Haji Yusof, advisor of IPRM SA UNISA Chapter, Yang berusaha Siti Nur Syafiqah binti Zulkarnain, the president of IPRM SA UNISA Chapter, Yang berusaha Mr. Muhammad Nazri bin Abu Hassan, the head of program, as well as the lecturers and students. I would like to take a moment to recognize and thank all the audience for attending this talk. My name is Akila Al-Husna binti Abdul Zawi, and it is my pleasure to be your MC for today. Ladies and gentlemen, before I proceed, may I invite everyone to invoke the Almighty God of His blessing for His blessings, and may peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. With that, I would like to call upon Mr. Muhammad Amar bin Syed Mohamad Sabri for the dua invocation. Please welcome.
All right. Sorry. Okay. Wait. All right. Those non-Muslims are welcome to pray according to your belief. Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. حمدا يحيي ويستغفر مزيدا. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال الكريم العظيم سلطانك. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد. اللهم إنا نسألك سلامة في الدين وعافية في الجسد وزيادة في العلم وبركة في الرزق وتوبة قبل الموت ورحمة من عند الموت ومغفرة بعد الموت. اللهم هون علينا في سكرة الموت والنجاة من النار وعند الحساب. اللهم إنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. You are the one who created the wonders of the moon and the sun, the skies and the seas, their cycles, also the wonders and the secret in seven. You are the most merciful and gracious one. Grant us your forgiveness and love. Bless us, our family, our friends, our relatives, and all people around the world. Help and guide us so we can walk on your path. Treasure us with your redor. We will become blissful and successful people eternally. Ya Allah, amidst this current pandemic, keep us away from COVID-19. We seek refuge in you from this evil disease. Bless us all with health and safety. With that, bless us our program today, so I will get it effort will gain your rahmah. The moment it starts to its second. Please put nothing in this program but all goodness and blessings. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. آمين يا رب العالمين. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amar, for the beautiful prayers. May our event be blessed and run accordingly. Ladies and gentlemen, for your information, this Magnificent 7 Communication Series program is a collaboration between PLUS and UNISA to bring value and experience by the communication industry's practitioners and specialists to help provide the advantages to the students when venturing into working world of public relations. It is a great honor for IPRM SA UNISA to embark a journey together. With this collaboration, it is hoped that this program is able to give exposures to students about the importance of the communication field in an organization and the skills needed. We also want to enlighten the students about the careers in communication through the online seminars that will be shared by the experts. Now, we are going to show you a montage video of IPRM SA UNISA chapter. Please enjoy. Now, allow me to spare some time to introduce our respective speaker for today's session, Mr. Joe Najib. He has served as a trainer at JN PowerPoint Training and trains people to use PowerPoint in the best way. He started his career as advertising and digital advertising specialist. In fact, is In fact, he is a very experienced person in the field of communication, marketing, and advertising for over 15 years. He has worked with over 70 brands in different industries. Without further delay, I would like to invite Mr. Joe Najib to give his talk on making your point powerful and captivate your audience.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. So, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everybody. So, if you all can see me on screen right now, Alhamdulillah, it's good to be part of this program. So, I was invited by Tuan Syed Mohamad Idid from PLUS to actually come and give you guys a little bit of an insight in terms of presentation. Yeah, because as you know, as you enter the working world in the very near future, yeah, there will be a lot of presentation that needs to be done, regardless of what industry you will be in, right? Because presentations is something that is very industry agnostic. Yeah, it's not only to a particular subject or whatever, whether you have to do reports, whether you have to do proposals and things like that, it will become a very big part of your daily or weekly or even the monthly work, right? So now I'm here to share with you a couple of slides, yeah, because normally I will not, when I do career talks or when I do my sessions and all that, I'm not restricted to 1 hour. But because I have only 1 hour to share with you guys, so it's going to be a lot of rapid fire, very high speed tips I'm going to share with you guys, because I want you all to really make full use of this opportunity in terms of seeing me in person. Now, I just want to know, Akila, can you see my PowerPoint punya document tak? Can you all see it now?
No, I don't.
Tak nampak eh? Okay, now let me share my screen again. Okay. So let me take over and share. Alright, hang on ya. So can you all see it now? Hang on. Is it now? I cannot seem to be able to. Okay. So, all right. Can you see my screen now? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So now I'm going to start with my slides. Yeah. So if you have notepads and things like that, is great. Yeah. But otherwise, just enjoy the ride. It's going to be a very different kind of session that you will experience with me, because the people who attend my classes or the people who attend my talks is they have always told me that it's a very eye-opening punya session, right? And if you can if you can hear already, the way I present, I go a bit colloquial, yeah. Although I'm perfectly fine in presenting things in full English and all that, but just to make everyone feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more relaxed, a bit more at home and things like that, there will be injections of bahasa as we go along, right? So now, good morning to all of you. I want to share with you the first few things, right? As we know, presentations involves a few components. Okay, there are a few components, 3 key components in a presentation, right? The first component is, of course, we have the presenters, people like yourselves, what you will be doing. Even if you're not doing now, I think which I think you already are, but I think you'll be doing a lot of this in the future, presenting work. Okay. Now, the next component again is a presentation. So you'll be developing your PowerPoint slides and things like that, ready to present to the third component, which is your audience. Yeah. So your audience may not necessarily be the nicest people in the room. Yeah. They can be all of this. Yeah. But nonetheless, they are there to listen to you. They are there for you to share whatever that you need to share, to obtain their approvals, to obtain their buy-ins, whatever that it could be about. Yeah. Now, I just want to tell you that the moment you come up with really, really good looking PowerPoint presentations, yeah, half of the battle is won. The other half of the battle is when you, as the presenter, have a great synergy between yourselves, what you verbalize, what you talk about, and synergize it with what you project on your screens. Yeah, what you project on your screens and what you talk about should be intercomplementary and not replicatory. Yeah, so we don't exactly replicate whatever that's on slide, but whatever that we are talking about is actually is complementing whatever that's visually shown on screen. Okay, now the moment you have this good synergy between the good-looking slides that you're pushing out and speaking well and presenting it well, all these negative people or all the devil's advocate, as you call them, they will be ultimately impressed if you follow some of these tips that I will share with you. Okay, but before that, allow me to introduce myself very, very briefly. Yeah, so my name is Tuan Syed. I'm 43 years old, married, although a bit late. Yeah, typical of a KL folk. We don't get married too early because we're too busy chasing our professions and whatnot. Alhamdulillah, I have two daughters, a 5-year-old, one is turning 5, one just turned 1 year old. So great, Alhamdulillah. And I live in Taman Tun Dr. Ismail, Kuala Lumpur. Now, in terms of my professional background, I have been, for the past 20 years, I've been involved in the advertising and marketing industry. So I do a lot of branding work as well when it comes to establishing new brands or launching a brand to market and things like that. I do a great deal of copywriting as well. Yeah, because it's not something that was directly part of my job scope because I'm more of an account management person or client servicing person. But because I come from a family of very established writers, so my father was a journalist, my mother was a journalist. Now my brother has taken my father's role as a journalist. My sister is a journalist. So everybody, we're all in journalism and content writing and all that in the family. So the moment you say something wrong or something grammatically wrong at the dinner table, they will make fun of you forever, right? So it's only natural for me to pick up a little bit in terms of language and writing and things like that, just to blend in my own family lah, right? And I also do a fair bit of creative planning. Now, creative planning is basically as and when a client wants to launch a new campaign or a new product to the market and things like that, you know, they will come to someone like me to actually come up with the strategy on how to market or how to enter the market with this new campaign, so to speak, right? Okay, now, my last job, before I actually went full-time on as a PowerPoint trainer, my last job, which was up to last year, was I was a special projects director reporting to the CEO at the Malaysia Healthcare Travel Council, or they call it MHTC for short. Yeah. So for those who are not familiar with MHTC, MHTC is basically the government arm that has been tasked to promote Malaysia as a healthcare destination, as a healthcare travel destination. So we work very closely with Tourism Malaysia, where Tourism Malaysia is promoting the consumer tourism part of travel. We, on the other hand, we go hand in hand to promote the medical travel part, where people can come to Malaysia to do their, to do their checkup, to do their health screening, to do their surgeries and things like that, because we have very modern, very first world state-of-the-art kind of medical facilities, complemented by a very robust tourism industry. So come here for your operations, or come here for your surgeries, come here for your health screening, and by the way, before you go home, enjoy a holiday, right? So for those who don't know, Malaysia actually is one of the highest ranked Asian country when it comes to global medical tourism. From 2016 to 2018, Malaysia indeed was number one in the world in terms of healthcare travel. Yeah, so my job when I joined them in 2019 was basically to set up an entire travel campaign for 2020, because we know that last year was supposed to be Visit Malaysia Year 2020. So we decided to ride along with Tourism Malaysia to do a collaborative campaign to promote Malaysia as a travel destination from the consumer aspect as well as the healthcare aspect. But as we know, COVID happened, the whole world went into lockdown. So the entire campaign, despite its readiness, we were told to put a stop to it or halt, right? So rather than wasting government funds to pay for my monthly punya retainer fee and things like that, I decided to, okay, look, I'm going to leave. I'm going to do my own thing. And, you know, as and when this entire COVID ordeal is over, then perhaps I will resume my work with you guys, right? So that's when I started going into training full time, right? Now, before I go into that deeper, these are some of the most prominent multinational advertising agencies in the world. Most of them are either headquartered in New York or Tokyo or London. They have offices in Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur, and I have worked for these establishments. Maybe with exception of Hong Leong Bank, where it was in 2014, it was the year I got married, so I thought, okay, enough of this advertising life of going to the office at 9 a.m., coming back at 2, 3 a.m., you know, and things like that. Time to dirikan rumah tangga and things like that, spend more time to raise a household. So I thought joining a bank would give me that free time. Yeah. Again, it's probably the biggest misconception ever about bankers leaving early, because even at 11, 12 midnight, you are still checking emails and things like that. So no difference. But anyway, other than that, I have always been involved in advertising, marketing, social media, content writing, so on and so forth. And over this 18-20 year period, I have developed over 1,000 proposals. Yeah, it's definitely over 1,000, perhaps even over 2,000. I lost count, but it's valued at over 300 million ringgit in terms of marketing spend, in terms of contract value, and things like that. Right. So I'm very, very. PowerPoint is my nyawa lah. You know, I live and breathe it for the past 20 years. Now, I started playing with the concept of training people to upskill their PowerPoint levels in 2016. It was supposed to be a side income thing where I was teaching fellow industry professionals. I was also teaching my closest associates and friends. But, you know, as and when I finish training one class, they go back, they tell their friends, they tell their cousins, they tell their families want to come, and then their families' friends want to come, and it's just started ballooning and it started mushrooming from there. It was purely through word of mouth. And I decided that I wanted to go full time was the fact that it came to a point where I worked 22 days in an advertising agency, 22 days a month, and I was earning X amount. You know, if I was to do 2 trainings a month, I would already match what I make for 22 days. So something was not right. The balance has suddenly shifted. So that gave me a lot more confidence to start doing training more often, or in fact to the point that it became my main source of income. My profession was a secondary income. It was a bit weird, but alhamdulillah, it was something that naturally, you know, unfolded. Okay, now, when I say that I'm a full-time PowerPoint specialist now, which is exactly the truth, yeah? So my job currently is not just a trainer. I consider myself, or I term myself as a PowerPoint specialist. And a lot of people who know me, who knew that I was at director level for the last 8 years, right? Deciding to leave my director status to do purely PowerPoint. The first thing that this typical KL people will ask me, boleh buat duit ke? Can make money meh? I thought PowerPoint specialist, I thought PowerPoint was just one scope of work, you know, within, you know, your profession and things like that. How do you go full time, right? Now, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, I'm going to share with you, this is purely to inspire you, yeah, inspire you in a way. Because as a PowerPoint specialist, I'm going to give you an idea of what I do, right? So as a PowerPoint specialist, of course, I train people. So I train multinational companies, I train government agencies, I train GLTs. So there's a lot of companies out there that I've trained. There's a lot of companies that I have yet to train, but Alhamdulillah, the demand has been consistent. So I also do quite a fair bit of public sessions. So for those who think that my name is familiar, it's also because I am a social influencer on Facebook. I've got over 20, almost 30,000 followers, and so I train a lot of the members of the public, and I do that once every 2-3 months. Yeah, not too often. Yeah, but as and when I have time away from my corporate gigs, then of course I will do public sessions where members of the public can attend my classes. And I also do corporate trainings, and on top of that, I also get involved in speaking engagements, such as the one that I'm involved with you guys today. Right now, when it comes to remunerations, I'm just going to tell you that I make anywhere between 5 to 25,000 per session. Now, when it comes to 25,000, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you how, right? Because my last public class before COVID, right, when I was able to do it in a classroom, in a big training room and all that, I had 102 participants attending my training, 102. And I charged a ridiculously cheap, affordable price of 250 ringgit for a full day session, right? 250 ringgit times 100 participants, so you get the idea. And that is just one class. So if that 1 month I do one public class and I have 2 corporate clients doing training for 2 corporate clients, you get the idea. And if you think that's all I do, no. I also am a PowerPoint cleaner. So what's a PowerPoint cleaner? A PowerPoint cleaner is when there are clients who attend my training, and then they said, Joe, what you taught us is really, really useful. I think it's great. But next week, I have a presentation that I have to present to my top management. I have the slides. It looks quite ugly. Can you touch up for me? Can you clean up for me? So that's another thing that I have to do, right? Where clients will pass me anywhere between 50 slides to 100 slides to even 200 slides, for me to clean up, standardize, beautify, animate, to just make it more presentable for them to present to whoever their audience is. So of course, I do a bit of visual editing, I do content editing, and I make sure that the story flow, the flow of content and things like that is properly structured, it's natural, it's efficient. Yeah, so I do all that. Now, in terms of fees, I charge anywhere between 80 ringgit to 100 ringgit per slide, depending on the complexity of the document. Right? And so if I was to, and if that document is about 50 or 100 slides, I'm sure you can do the math. Now that is on top of me doing my regular training classes. And if you think that's all, there's also a third vertical where I am also a C-suite keynote designer. So I do, because most of the CEOs in this country, the CEOs, the CFOs, the CMOs, the CIOs, the CTOs, all the C-level, they get invited a lot to talk at conferences or summits or digital conventions and things like that. So most of the CEOs, they want their slides to look good as they stand on a big stage or big platform and things like that. They want the slides to look good behind them. They come to someone like me. So they will email me, a set of things that they want to talk about. So my job is basically to create the entire presentation for them. So of course, I do full slide design, the programming and everything for them to present at summits, conventions, so on and so forth. And because we know that CEOs have very, very deep pockets, I charge anywhere between 5 to 15K, depending on the requirements and how long they have to talk, how many slides and things like that. So from just being recognized or established as a PowerPoint specialist, this is the kind of income that you're able to generate. Now, this is just PowerPoint. So my advice to you before we go deeper into the subject is this. If you have a specific skill set that you really love to do, it's something that you love, it's something that you're passionate about, please work hard towards establishing a name for yourself, but in that particular subject. In the future, when you start working, right, your designation will definitely come with 5 to 10 job scopes. You know, your job description will have about 10, 15 things, job responsibilities. Out of the 10, 15 job responsibilities, it will be almost impossible for you to be recognized for being excellent in all 15. But if you, out of that 15, if you find your skill set and zoom in on just one, focus on that one particular subject that you love, particular subject that you think you can really excel in, please zoom in on that subject, make yourself known for it, because 10, 15 years down the road, inshallah, you know, what you're good at will be synonymous to your name. You know, it could be an even career path for you guys, inshallah. Yeah? So just giving you an idea of what passion and determination and the willingness to go against the grain, to go, you know, to defy all the conventional ways of doing things and making a name for yourself. This is what it can lead up to. All right, now when it comes to the subject itself, yeah, presentations, there are two common reasons behind ineffective presentations. Yeah, so a lot of people think, oh, when you present, you know, you think people find it ineffective, people find it bad, and things like that, and you wonder why. I'm going to tell you there's only two reasons. The first reason is this: it's because your audience forgets. You presented, even if they remember bits and pieces, they will not remember everything. The second reason is highly related to it, is because our slides that we project are forgettable. That's why they forget. So it's interrelated, and that's the biggest reason why our presentations don't work sometimes. Okay, now I'll give you an idea of how bad our human memory is. Okay, so like for instance, if you're thinking that why can't people remember 20 slides? Why can't people remember 30 slides? Is it that hard to do? I'll tell you something that's even harder to do. I'm sure everybody has taken a flight before, whether on AirAsia, whether on Firefly, MAS. Now, when you check in, right, you get your boarding pass. On your boarding pass, you have your seat number. Your seat number, you look at it one time, you say, oh, I'm sitting at 23F. And then you take it away. 5 minutes later, do you remember your number? I'm sure you don't. You'll be taking it out again. Hey, aku duduk mana? Then you see again, oh, 23F. And then when you go and have a meal, sempat lagi. So you sit down, have a meal, your wife or your husband or your girlfriend or your mom asks you, hey, what seat do you have? You go like, you forget again. So you take out. You will check your seat number at an average of 6 times before you actually get to your seat. When it's just 3 things, 2, 3F, 2, 3F. That's it. It's that short. But yet, we have to check at least 4 or 5 times before, you know, and things like that. Why is that's how bad our memory is. Now, we only have one brain and one working memory. The working memory that we use to try to remember our plane punya seat is the same working memory, is the same bad working memory used for presentations, to remember presentations, right? So that's how fragile our consumers punya attention span or our audience punya memory is. Yeah, so I hope you take that into account, right? Now, why do people forget? Okay, I'm going to tell you why people forget. So imagine that you're the one on the left, right? So there's a screen behind you with some slides and all that, and you're busy chatting away, describing what it is on the slide, you're talking, blah, blah, blah. And that girl there, sitting on the right there, you think she's paying attention. Now, she's starting to forget already, and I'll tell you why. Sometimes these people, they're not paying full attention. They look at you listen to you for 1.5 minutes, and then suddenly their phone gets a WhatsApp message. They turn away, right? So they're not paying full attention. The next one, there's too much content. Right? Sometimes we tend to squeeze so much content to our slides to the point that, you know, they don't know what to focus on, they don't know what to remember, they don't know which are the final points that they need to bear in mind. It becomes cluttered. Next one is, you know, it is also, this is another point why people forget easily, is because if your presentation looks similar to something that your audience just experienced before, you know, whether it was they went through a similar set of slides in the morning or yesterday or 2 days ago, then that memory starts coming into the current scenario. And then they'll go like, oh yeah, it's similar. So these are the occasions where it's not good when memories start to overlap. All right. The next reason is because these people, when they see your slide, they are reading, but they're not understanding. Baca je. Yeah. But whether they understand the context of it, questionable. And then they focus on the content. They see your pictures, they see your words, the choice of words, your grammar and things like that, but they don't really understand the context of what your content is supposed to highlight. The next one, they're still thinking of a previous slide. You know, you might have moved to slide number 14, but she wanted to ask a question about slide number 12, but she couldn't. So she's still, while you are displaying slide number 14, she's still on number 12 or that time. Yeah, but actually what he said was actually not accurate. She has already she's already not paying attention on slide 13 and 14 because slide 12 is still stuck in her head and she's asking questions for that one, right? And the next reason why people forget is also they are disengaged. This happens a lot when you are a passive presenter. That means you only talk and talk and talk. You are a one-way train. You don't even ask questions to your crowd. You don't even get their feedbacks midway. You don't even ask them questions in between your slides and things like that. It's just a one-way delivery. Then, of course, over a 15-20 minute period, they start feeling disengaged or less participative in that room, right? Now, when I said about working memory, so you bear this in mind with all those reasons on why they forget. You know, that's just one. And they also have other stuff, other things that they are thinking about, yeah, that is outside, that is related to things that are outside of the meeting, yeah. The kids balik macam mana, you know, the house, is the house okay, you know, the emails that they have yet to read, lunch kejap lagi makan apa, or at night what do I cook for my children, what's the deadline for my bills, you know, rumah kotor ke, nak kena cuci ke, you know, what's my husband doing, or things like that, or I have to go into the next meeting in the next half an hour. On top of that, she's taking a flight and she's still trying to remember her seat number. That's it, you know. So that's why our audience in your brain cannot focus, you know, or cannot digest completely, yeah, whatever that we're presenting. There's so much interference, there's so much external factors that doesn't allow them to actually have full attention, right? So now, so let's accept that, yeah, our audience are not great at remembering stuff. So what can we possibly do to make them remember? Now I'm going to give you a few tips, yeah, 5 very important tips, yeah. These are the foundations of a good presentation, yeah. This is basically the foundation of what you need to do. Let's put aside design for a while. Let's put aside colors or things like that. These are the very foundations that you should consider, because why? These foundations, the moment you follow them, the moment you do them, you practice it, right? They will give an instant cognitive reaction to your audience. And because everything that we do is driven cognitively and psychologically and things like that. So these are all scientifically proven. It's not just about taste. It's not just about subjectiveness. This is science, okay? So the kind of slides that you push out has a cognitive reaction to how your audience will behave, right? So I'll give you the first tip. A lot of people try to put a lot of messages in one slide, right? So I'm going to tell you, split it, make it one message per slide, yeah? A lot of people try to cram, and we get this ridiculous idea, and you'll get it in the working world, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, where, you know, there will be bosses that say, why are you doing 30 slides? Please condense it to 5, you know? that is something that is really, really bad for us to do. Because what we do is we cram the other 25 slides into that 5, and that's it. Our slides will be so congested. And I'll tell you why we need to have one message per slide. I'll give you a very simple scenario. You're talking to a friend. Yeah, you're at the mama, you're talking to a friend, you're tengah bersembang and things like that. Blah, blah, blah. Out of nowhere, you hear your name being said at the next table. Yeah. Oh, this Joe Najib. Now, if suddenly I start to hear somebody talking about me that side, one ear of mine will be paying attention there, right? While this friend of mine is still talking. So I'm paying attention to what the other table is saying. And once they're done saying, I come back to my friend. Now, when I come back to my friend will ask me, kau setuju tak? And then that you just love a situation where you don't even know what am I supposed to agree upon. You anggo je lah, you just say, yeah. So try not to have that kind of scenario. It applies the same thing when you're presenting. When you expose them to too many messages in one slide, they start to forget. So make it simple for everyone. One message per slide. This is an example, where you shouldn't be putting like your objectives and your market analysis and things like that in one slide. Most of the time, these occasions will happen when people try to say, limit you to 10 slides, limit you to 15 slides and things like that. It's a very bad practice. Now, what you should do is break them up, right? Because the moment you have one subject per slide, people will remember that slide for whatever subject that is meant to be there. Yeah. The moment you put one slide, 2, 3 subjects, is going to go haywire. Okay. So this is something that will instantly help people understand or remember the slides that you push out. Okay. So first one. Number 2 is what we call the redundancy principle. Now, this is a principle that has been established by what's his name? Myers and can't remember the other guy, but it is a principle where they're saying the moment if you talk, and if you put full sentences in your slide, and you talk at the same time, right? So those are 2 elements: your sentence and you talking. 1 + 1 will equal 0. People will not remember either. Okay, they won't remember either. So that is what we call the redundancy principle or the redundancy effect. Now, let me tell you what's the biggest the normal redundancy that happens when we present. Imagine this is one slide, right? And you've got a pie chart there. And then it shows that Apple is leading the market at 42.3. And then you as a presenter, you will say Apple continues to dominate. Do you have the text there as well? Text box there. Apple continues to dominate the smartphone market in the United States. The picture is already saying that. So why do you have a sentence saying the same thing? Tak cukup that this thing is replicating the pie. The presenter pula will read exactly the words that is being displayed on the slide. Ladies and gentlemen, Apple continues to dominate the smartphone market in the United States. That's obvious. It is redundant. And then you will continue to say, oh, in second place, Samsung is second with 30% market share. Why do you have to say that? That again is redundant. Okay. So now I'm going to share with you a technique of what some of the most established public speakers, right, or CEOs or presenters and things like that, they apply this thing what we call the 80-20 technique. The 80-20 technique is this, right? Where 80% of whatever that's going to come up from their mouth, whatever that they're going to say, 80% of it will not be on slide. Only 20% of whatever that's coming up from their mouth is is an immediate association to the slides. I'll give you an example. What these people will not say is that they will not say Apple continues to dominate the smartphone market in the United States. They will not say that because that's already written on the slide itself. What they will probably say is this. It's now 14 years since the first iPhone was launched, and they have never relinquished their position as the market leader. It doesn't say that 14 years, the first iPhone was launched 14 years ago. the slide doesn't say that they have never lost this top spot. The only thing that is correlated back to the content is their position as the market leader. So the one in black, is not on slide, which is 80%. They are only 20% of what they say is a direct relation to the visual that is on screen. Okay. Now, when they talk about Samsung Plus, they will definitely not say Samsung is in second place with 30% market share. Again, that is redundant. It's already spoken, right? It's already obvious. So what they will probably choose to say is, despite being the market leader everywhere else in the world, Samsung is second in the US, although they are gaining an average of 3% a year, chipping away at Apple's lead. So you can see the one in gray, that's the only 20% that is directly related to the slide. The ones in green is the 80. So what they talk about, what they elaborate versus what they show on screen complements each other. It doesn't replicate, therefore it's not redundant. So try to reduce this redundancy effect. And then you go like, oh no, how do I expand, right? Because I've got that subject, I've got the Apple thing, I've got the pie chart and all that. What can I possibly say more? What do I do to make up that 80%, right? So, for example, if on your slide it already says Apple continues to dominate the smartphone market in the United States, you can expand it this way. How long have they dominated the market? Previous year, or the margin of increase, or did they drop in a certain year, or which year did they have the biggest spike, in terms of sales and all that? Why? There's always a way to inject those into your speaking, right? So other countries that they also lead, particularly ahead Samsung, their biggest rival, why are they so strong in the US? The best thing is, if you have any personal experience, whether you've been to the US and people make fun of you because you're holding a Samsung phone and not an Apple phone and all that, it's always good to verbalize that and maybe quote a research, why is Apple so good, so powerful in the United States? Because they don't sell a product, they sell a lifestyle. Right, things like that. So there are always ways for you to expand when you verbalize whatever that's on a slide. What you should not do is directly say what's being presented. Okay. Now, number 3, size matters. Okay. So now here's the thing: the most important thing on your slide should always be the biggest. Yeah. So let me say that again. The most important thing, the thing that you want your audience to focus on when you arrive at a slide, that thing has to be the biggest size object in that slide. And why should it be the biggest? I'll give you an example. Again, you're at a mama, you're talking to a friend, directly to a friend, you're having a very good conversation. But next to you, there's a very big full screen HD TV, right? So, but the volume is off. There's no volume. The TV is playing next to you, but there's no sound. Now, when you talk to your friend, I am very, very sure there will be every 15 or every 20 seconds, you will turn to your left to look at the TV. Okay? Although there's no sound, but your eyes will be naturally drawn to it, right? Even if you're not watching it, but every 15-20 seconds, instead of looking at your friend in the face, you will turn aside to look at the TV. Why is that? This is all human behavior. We are drawn to the TV because, well, it's got moving objects, it's got colors, there's a high contrast, and of course, most of the time, they're very, very big these days, right? So that's our natural cognitive reaction towards things that are moving, things with, signaling colors, things with high contrast, and things that are large. So put this in the context of your PowerPoint, content, treat it the same way. Now, I'll give you an example. This is the biggest mistake in the world, yeah? Okay? And this is something that is PowerPoint's problem as well. Almost every template, whether it's our university template, whether it's our corporate template or our company template and all that, the biggest size object or the biggest font in every slide is the headline. Yeah, you see the headline, right? Why is it? why is the headline always the biggest when the key thing that we want to highlight is the content down here? Now, I want you to see what happens. How we are drawn to the headline. Yeah, we are drawn to the title. See how your eyes get sucked into the content the moment I switch it around, like that. Now, suddenly your content starts coming out a lot clearer. That's why? Because I have reduced the size of the header. Since when is the header the most important thing in that slide? It has never been that way. But the way of the world is that almost every corporate template that I come across is like that. So consider this the next time you're doing your PowerPoint slides. You know, the biggest object are the most important things that you want to highlight. Not this, do this. Okay? So bear that in mind. The next thing that I want to share is colors and contrast. Yeah. Now, how you might think, how do colors and contrast make people remember, right? Again, we are reacting to our brain's natural cognitive behavior. Yeah, and I'll give you an example. Okay. I'll talk about contrast. You're looking at a sample slide right now. You see, 10 different subjects here. Your eyes will be all over the place trying to catch each and every word out there. Now, the moment I play around with contrast, yeah, where I will choose, I want to highlight the word strategy. Look at the next slide. Suddenly your eyes get drawn into just one particular area. Why? Because the color of the other 9, I've reduced the contrast to a color that's almost as dark as the background, leaving only one in pure white. So the highest contrast is also the one that you should highlight lah. Yeah, the one that you want to highlight should always have the highest contrast. Okay, so think about this. Yeah, so there are PowerPoint functions where you can actually do this. Yeah, so instead of highlighting all the things in full-blown contrast like that, where they're all fighting for your eyes' attention, play around with the contrast so that you can direct where people should start looking, right? So that's where contrast comes in. And I'll tell you another thing. This is another biggest mistake a lot of corporate entities or a lot of organizations do, is that they insist on having white backgrounds. Yeah? Now, we have to understand why a lot of companies do white background presentations. It's because of the general behavior where the moment if you want to print something, normally when we present, right after we present, we have to go back to our cubicle or to our workspace, and we have to email that presentation to our audience or to the people that couldn't attend, right? And of course, when we email out, and then when they receive the email, some of them may want to print it and bind it and put it on the table. So because printer ink is very expensive, so that's why we cannot do any other color but white background, so that it saves printer ink. Right now, I want to tell you guys something, right? And this is very important, yeah, because you guys are the future generation of the workforce. It would be great if in my lifetime I can see this cultural change. Yeah, please, your presentation slides should never be the slides that you email. Yeah, you should always prepare. If you are having a proposal, please do 2 versions. One is a presentation version, and one is a submission or a reading version. Yeah, so your presentation version should be very simple, very high level, word by word, very image driven. You don't have to write full sentences because you are there standing in front of the screen to present and things like that. But you also do a full document or submission version for people to read. Yeah, in full sentences, full details, because you are not there to elaborate. So that other document has to be very comprehensive. But when it comes to presentation, because you are presenting, you should simplify it, make it work together with you, synergize, what you're going to say and what you're going to project and things like that. So they should always be two separate documents. Okay? So I hope we can apply this change. Now, talking about contrast, coming back to contrast. Now, this is a typical scenario. So you're presenting, and the moment you present in a dark room, in a meeting room, yeah, and you insist on having a white background, the object with the highest contrast, remember how contrast plays a prominent role in terms of, directing attention. Yeah, the highest contrast right now, if this is the case, is the screen. Yeah, and that is not good. And I'll tell you why it's not good. Because presentation, the key element, the most important, the most primary element in a presentation is you. You're the presenter. You are the guide. You are the leader of that moment, not the slide. The slide is just supposed to be your visual aid. It's supposed to just assist you, but you are the presentation. But the moment the highest level of contrast belongs to the screen, you start drowning. Yeah. And imagine if you're projecting this in a dark room and you have 50 slides with full bright colors, with full bright white background, is going to strain your audience's eyes very quickly. And the moment eyes are strained, our retina start adjusting, there will be a tendency for people to get sleepy because their eyes are tired, right? Versus when you present in a black or a very dark background slide, yeah, suddenly you start coming out more prominently. You as the presenter become the highest contrast object. Yeah? And your content looks, prominent. It's white color, it comes out strongly, and your audience punya eyes get to relax a bit because the color, the prominent color at the back is black. So it relaxes the eyes. People can just look at the content without being strained by a white background. So this, small elements of adjustments will definitely improve your presentation output. Okay. The next thing that I want to share with you is to limit the number of objects you should have on your slide. Okay. Because let's face it, I have seen a lot of slides from multiple industries. I've seen slides from professors, from scientists, from engineers, and all that. They're great practitioners. I mean, they're good at what they do, but terrible presenters or terrible PowerPoint slide creators. Okay, they try to cram so much data into slides that it becomes, so messy and very straining to the eye. Right now, how do you limit your objects? I'm gonna give you a simple test. Right, I'm gonna show a couple of rectangles, a couple of squares in the slide, and I want you to just count and see how long it takes for you to count. Yeah, okay. I'm going to show the person and you start counting how many white boxes are there in the next slide. Are you ready? 1, 2, go. Okay, so you counted. That's 8. Now, if you're average like everybody else, you would have probably taken like half a second or maybe 1 second, right, to count that there are 8 boxes there. Now I'm going to show you another one, with slightly less, and see how fast and you can count them, right? 1, 2, go. Suddenly you started counting, or you finish counting a lot faster. Yeah, not only because the number of boxes is less, but I'll tell you why in a bit. And if I show you the next slide, almost instantly, in 0.01 second, you already know the amount. Now, what's the difference between the first set of boxes? Is because it took a while for you to get all the content because you were counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, the next set of content, the one with the 6 boxes and the one with the 4 boxes. The reason why you were able to get the number a lot faster is because you were not counting, you were seeing. Yeah, and it has been scientifically proven that counting takes 500% more of your energy, of your brain punya energy resources than it takes to see. Yeah. So what I'm showing here is do not exceed more than 6 objects per slide. Okay, it's not 7, it's not 5. Don't go more than 6. Okay, because the moment you go more than 6, people will start seeing and they need to count, yeah, versus seeing. So that relaxes. By seeing, the moment they see, it reduces the brain punya activity, yeah, in terms of the stress that you put on it. Okay, so consider that. Now coming to PowerPoint techniques. So those were just the foundations that you need to consider. Those 5 things that you need to consider. Yeah. So those are the foundations. If you apply that on a general scale, inshallah, you know, the cognitive reaction or the audience punya brain, yeah, in terms of digesting the information or how do you say, not forgetting, in fact, remembering the slides or whatever that you present is significantly improved. Okay, but now I'm going to go into a subject that I am particularly in love with, which is PowerPoint itself. So I'm sure most of you are already working on PowerPoint, developing your thesis or your presentations or your homework. I'm sure you all are doing your PowerPoint slides and all that, especially your projects and whatnot. Now, I can confidently tell you that all of you are underutilizing the program. Yes, you are really underutilizing the program, and I'm going to show you why. The key subject that I want to talk about on how you can actually improve on your PowerPoint design. How do you make it look better? Is using the technique of manipulation. Yeah? So most of you may know this word, manipulate, yeah? Which is probably take advantage of or things like that lah. Yeah. Now, PowerPoint is very simple. You know, there's a text box function for you to put in text and sentences. Now I'm going to show you how you can play around. You can play around with the function, not just to create text, but to create something even more. Yeah, something even more cantik, something that looks so much better, something that becomes a design. Okay, now I'll show you what I mean. Let's see this word, typography, right? Very simple word, straightforward. But now I'm going to show you quickly how we can make this nicer. We can just copy this or cut this. When we want to paste it, I'll show you, when the paste option here, don't control V or whatever, you can actually paste it as an image. So the moment you paste as an image, it becomes a picture. So this is no longer a text box. Now what can you do when your text has become an image? You can basically crop it. You can basically go to picture effects. You can drop a shadow around it, you know, and I'll tell you what else you can do. You can go to because it's now a picture, you can go to picture effects, create a reflection to make it look like it's sitting on a glossy glass surface. How come you can do all this? It's because you managed to paste your text box as an image. And now this whole thing becomes a picture and it starts looking good already. Yeah, just by using this kind of picture effect treatments. So that's one way. Now, sometimes you want to play around with design. You put, certain text to be a bit bigger, certain text to be smaller and all that, just to come up with a typography or a way of designing your headline or whatever. If you think this looks good already, again, let me manipulate it a little bit more. This used to be 4 text boxes, but now they are 4 individual pictures. Remember how I pasted the text box as pictures? So this has become 4 different pictures. So I'm going to show you what I can do. Because they are pictures, I can go to shape effects. Yeah, I can go and to 3D rotation, and I can create a parallel angle. So this one, I'm going to give it this kind of angle. The word typography, I'm going to do the same thing, but give it another angle. The word today, I'm going to do the same thing, parallel angle, let it go this way. And the word I love it, I'm going to go the same with today. So what I can do now suddenly is I can arrange all these text images that I put, that I've angled together, and turn it into an object or a design element. And suddenly, it becomes a chocolate bar. I can cut this and paste it as a picture, and suddenly there's an element of design just by doing that. So the text box in PowerPoint didn't exactly allow you to do this. But the moment you know you're able to paste it as an image, and then you're able to give it angles and all that, suddenly the creative juices can start flowing. And I can tell that some of you malam ni, there's some of your Facebook punya cover photos and all going to change, because you're going to be trying this out the moment this training is over, right? So that's what I mean by manipulating the functions on PowerPoint. And another thing, suppose you want to put one slide, in one slide you want to just highlight one big word here like technology, right? I'm sure not many of you know that you can actually make it look a lot sexier or a lot nicer the moment you put a picture inside of your text, not around your text, not as a background, but inside your text. So how do I do this? I can basically highlight this text box. I can go to format shape, right click format shape. I can go to text options right here, right? And I can put a picture field, yeah, in terms of putting a picture inside. So I can go and insert, find a picture from my computer and put it in, and it starts to look cool the moment I put it like that. You can see pictures of, technology, all the digital lines and things like that the moment you put in an image behind it. And again, I can cut this and paste it as a picture, and I can actually crop it, right? And again, I can go to picture effects and give it a reflection so that it looks so much sexier now, right? So suddenly it looks cool. Then instead of just having a plain text, suddenly you have the elements of the subject that you're highlighting or what the word means and things like that. So I'm sure none of you do this. Again, that's why I'm saying you all are underutilizing the full potential of PowerPoint. I'll give you another example, yeah? So some of you might be enjoying this already, seeing that, going, whoa, what is Joe doing? I've never done this before. Now, so this picture describes a Muslim lady in a European punya environment, right? So I wanted to highlight just the girl in the hijab, yeah, because the subject was about sukuk, Islamic finance in European countries and things like that. So I just wanted to highlight the girl. Do you know that you can do this? You can actually Control-C, Control-V. I'm creating two copies. Why I'm creating two copies is because the one on the left, I'm going to change it as my background to make it as a background. And the one on the right is for me to highlight the girl in the hijab. So how do I do this? This is called a superimpose technique. So some of you may have heard of that word, but I'm going to show you how powerful PowerPoint is in terms of creating a superimpose effect. So I can double click, I can go to color, I can change it to black and white, right? And then I can go to corrections right here. I can make it a little softer so that it looks a bit blur. If I want to make it look even more blur, I can go to artistic effects. I can give it a blur tool. Now it really looks out of focus. And then I come here. And some of you may not have used this function before. You can double click and you have a remove background function. So PowerPoint is able to remove elements that you that you want to remove, or those that you want to keep. So I'm going to show you, like, for instance, I want to keep this girl, just this girl in the hijab, right? So I'm going to highlight all this area that I want to keep, right? And I'm going to remove this guy with a white hair and everybody else, right? A little bit more, touch up a bit. And once I've done that, I am going to keep changes so that everything else is removed. I can actually put her exactly on top of my other image. I can copy this and make it into a new picture. So again, I'm sure none of you have thought about this as well. Yeah, so again, that can be done on PowerPoint too. So imagine the kind of things that you can do in relations to whatever that you're doing now, or potentially when you join the working world. And I'm sure some of you have put in, you know, graphs, charts, and things like that. So because you can basically, PowerPoint has an insert chart where there's a pie option. You can put all types of pie charts and things like that. And most of the time, the moment we put in one of the pie charts, we take PowerPoint's ready-made template and we just put in the data and we move on. But do you know that just by doing a little bit of modification, using the techniques that I've done earlier, I'm going to show you how, in less than 2 minutes, I'm going to make this ugly looking pie chart with the baby blue and mustard yellow. I'm going to make it look so much nicer in under 2 minutes. I'm going to double click. I'm going to change the pie chart to a donut, where there's a hole in the middle, right? So, and then I can actually right click. I can format the data series. I can increase the size of the donut, punya hole in the middle here, for me to put in perhaps a title, right, that I've designed. And then I can basically, change all this where I'm going to put all the logos of all the brands and things like that. So basically the first one, Apple, there is a function called eyedropper right here, where you can eyedrop colors of logos or any colors on PowerPoint, and put it into your slices. So Apple, I'm putting it gray, putting the logo as white and changing it here. Samsung, put it alongside because they're second. So again, I'm going to eyedrop that color, that Samsung blue, eyedropper, take the blue, and done. The third one, LG, I'm going to put it here. I'm going to change this, do an eyedropper, take the Samsung pink, and it becomes pink. Now for all this text, I'm going to change it to white. I'm going to change it to maybe 16 or 18, 20, whatever size that you want to put in, up to you, right? And then I'm going to finish up the job, put in Motorola next to the section. Again, use the eyedropper, put in the Motorola blue, and then the last one is HTC. I'm going to put the HTC logo in there, right? And use the eyedropper again to take the green color, and it becomes instantly it becomes nicer. Now again, using the technique that I shared earlier, I can highlight all this, I can cut it, I can paste it as a picture so that it becomes flattened. And now that it's a flattened picture, I can go to shape effects, I can put my shadows in, I can put my reflection in and things like that. I'm going to crop it a bit so that the reflection comes closer to my pie, right, like that. And I can even go to picture effects. I can go to rotate the picture like how I did with the text just now. I can go to 3D rotation, give it an angle, right? So that it looks so much sexier now, right? And I change to a dark background. So when I present slides like this, instead of showing that ugly piece of pie that you had earlier, in just 2 minutes, you incorporate logos in, you eyedrop colors of the brands and things like that. Is going to turn your slides into works of art immediately, right? So again, it's manipulation, right? And the moment you can do that, you will understand how we can create this kind of designs where we eyedrop colors, we angle the logos and the numbers and things like that. And we can do pie charts this way. We can do 5% times 20 slices. And to do 65, we just highlight up to the 65% and things like that. And we can use pie charts differently just to do this kind of indicators or things like that. And it starts to look good. Have we ever thought about that? No. All right. The next thing that I want to share with you is animation. So I'm sure most of you know how to animate your content, or for things to come up one by one like that. And then next thing, the thing going to turn around like a wheel. So this is the most typical style of animations that I expect you guys are doing nowadays. But do you know how powerful the animation in PowerPoint is? You can even do things like this, right? Where, you see a Ferrari in the middle, 2 cars as it's overtaking 2 cars, and then you will see, cloud moving slowly. There's 3 layers of cloud on top, moving at different paces and things like that. Have you ever explored animations to be your PowerPoint animation to be this comprehensive or this realistic? I don't think so, right? So there's a lot of potential in your PowerPoint slides that you can utilize that you have yet to explore. Okay. The next thing that I want to share is I use PowerPoint as a design tool as well. It's not just to create slides, it's not just to do presentations, but I do it for designs because some of my clients, they want to do Facebook posts, they want to do poster designs or flyers. I'm able to use PowerPoint. This entire thing that I did for Bukit Bintang City Centre, BBCC, was done completely out of PowerPoint. Yeah, to the point that my client didn't even believe me that I did this out of PowerPoint. And what did I have to show to the client is this is basically my working slide. And if I was to highlight all the elements that I did, you will see how many layers of objects are there. Every single car, every single building, every single aeroplane, every single train, everything was put together meticulously. Yes, it is a lot of work, but the outcome is amazing. Yeah. So PowerPoint can do that too. So remember, PowerPoint is a design tool that makes it easier for you to come up with nice presentation slides. It's not just a presentation platform, it is a design platform. Now, I'll tell you one of my bigger achievements is this. Now, we can actually create 3D objects using PowerPoint. I'll give you an example. From just a simple square like this or rectangle like this, I can create, I'll do another one like this, make it slightly slimmer. I can paste another one, put it on top, and make it slimmer. Yeah. And let's change the color a bit. I will make this a bit darker, and this one a little bit darker, so that now I can actually go to shape effects. Remember the rotation that I did? I can do it this way, and this one I can rotate it this way. This one I can, where's the rotation? I can rotate it this way. And suddenly when I start putting them together, right, it becomes a panel. Yeah? It becomes a solid panel. So I can basically take this, cut this and paste this as a board or as a structure to one of my designs. Yeah, it looks like a papan already, right? And what did I do with this? How extensive did I work on this? I created an entire 3D floor plan for Tourism Malaysia and MHTC, where this we were featuring our booth at the World Travel Market in London in 2019. Yeah, so the entire design of our event space was done out of PowerPoint. So you can see the panels here that I just did. These are all panels that were designed out of PowerPoint. The rest were images that are taken out of Google, angle it in a way that complements the angle of your design, and that's it. And it was the only booth in the world, yeah, that was where everybody else was using engineering tools like AutoCAD and all that. I created a booth, a full structure booth out of PowerPoint, and it's pretty amazing, right? So, and some of you will know how to put in videos. You know how to put in songs, you know how to put in videos and to play them and things like that. Now, I'm going to show you, instead of putting videos, you can actually make videos using PowerPoint. You know that you can make videos using PowerPoint? I'll give you an example, right? Now, I'm going to play a video that I did just by using PowerPoint, yeah? And this is basically a show reel, yeah, of my, this is my promo video for my training, where when I get invited to companies where they want to know more about my training and things like that, when I go to their office, before I even present the list of subjects, the pricing, before I even start talking about anything at all, I will play them this video. And before I play the video, I just tell them, dear client, this video that you're about to see was made completely using programs, PowerPoint and Google. Yes, so I want you guys to see it too now, yeah, on how powerful PowerPoint is, to the point that you can create videos such as this. So please take a look and enjoy it for the next 3 minutes. So pretty amazing now that you think about it, because that is basically just putting slide by slide, putting animated GIFs, and then recording the entire timing of the slide and things like that with all the animations in place, all the triggers in place, record it, saving it as an MP4 video, and it becomes a full-blown video of its own just by using PowerPoint. How amazing is that? So again, yeah, a lot of us are underutilizing PowerPoint, and I hope that we take enough effort, initiative in ourselves to find out more about the subject. And if you want to come for my class, just come to my Facebook page. There will be one more class in March next month. You're gonna come for it. Just follow the steps and just look for the post, follow the steps, and join me. Right? So I'll probably do some sort of a special package for you students and things. I'll come up with probably a good pricing just for you, Nisa. No problem. So quick recap, because again, I want to prove my point. Why I need to recap, because most of you have probably forgotten why I presented, right? Exactly my point. So of course I need to do a recap. So remember, one message per slide. Consider the redundancy principle. Never speak exactly what is being portrayed on slide, right? What is being reflected on slide. Number 3, the biggest size object is the most important one that you are highlighting. Colors and contrast help to steer focus. Yeah. Limit your objects. Don't cram too many things don't create too many objects in your slide. Don't go beyond 6, because that's where our cognitive reaction starts kicking in and making us understand more and having the capacity to comprehend more of whatever that's being presented. And when you double that, all the manipulation techniques that I have just given a teaser is not the full thing. There's so much more that I can share with you, but because it's a 1-hour sharing, that's all I can share. But the moment you combine this, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, boom, you will become one of the better presenters, ready for your world experience and bringing presentation to the next level. So with that, I will pass you back to the organizers. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll end it with wabil taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, back to you, Akila.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Junaji, for the informative presentation just now. So it is hoped that the vast knowledge that has been shared just will be practiced in the future. So moving on to the question and answer Q&A session for the audience. So for those who want to ask questions, kindly turn on your camera and introduce yourself by telling your name and your course.
Anybody? You should not be shy, because this is the only rare moment that you get to speak to me. So please take this opportunity to ask me any questions, free flow, no judgments whatsoever. I think do this opportunity if you have any specific questions with regards to presentations. Yeah. Ada tak apa?
Sorry, sir.
Yes, Amma.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad bin Musabri, and I would like to, can you share some of the common mistakes that people tend to overlook when making PowerPoint?
The common mistakes. The common mistake is this, okay?
Yeah.
The common mistake is because, well, first and foremost, we have to establish what we are doing, what we are using PowerPoint for. Because the biggest mistake is that we are creating a presentation document, but the content that we put in, it looks as though we're creating a submission document or a reading document. Yeah, because a presentation document and a reading document, as I said, are very separate things. Yeah, a reading document should be very comprehensive in full sentences, in paragraphs, and all that, because we are not there to assist the reader, and they are supposed to understand it. They are supposed to comprehend it at their own constraint. But a presentation document should be treated differently, because it's supposed to complement us, but we are the presentation. What we show at the back in terms of slide is our aid, membantu kita, our visual aid. So it's supposed to complement. But sometimes the most common mistake is when people treat a presentation like a reading material. Yeah. So I think before we even start preparing our slides, let's consider the nature of what we're doing. Yeah? Whether are we presenting it or are we submitting it later? Well, if we have to submit that document later as a reading material, then we have to remember what I said again. Try to create two separate documents. Yeah. So you prepare one that is meant for meeting, for presenting. You prepare one that is for submission. The context is the same. Cuma the approach that the manner of which we approach the two different documents are different. So please identify that at the very start before you even begin any work. Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I'm guilty of what you said just now. Just wondering, do Microsoft pay you to promote Microsoft like this?
Sorry? Can you ask the question again?
Does Microsoft pay you to promote like this? Because you're promoting so good, I'm actually considering to actually buy Microsoft PowerPoint.
Okay. This is a true story, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan. The moment my training started to pick up really, really well, I received a call from a product director of Microsoft Malaysia. So they called me and said, is that John Najib? Oh, we heard that you are training Microsoft PowerPoint to the public. I panicked. I was like, oh my God, am I supposed to be like registered with Microsoft before I can go out and present ke apa ke? So they said, no, we just want to see your module in terms of what exactly you're teaching and that. So I had to go to Microsoft Malaysia in the Twin Towers, Petronas Twin Towers, went to meet the what do you call that? The software punya owner and things like that. And when I showed them the module and when I showed them what I do and what I teach in terms of from the design aspect and how to manipulate the functions that PowerPoint has given and all that, he said, the record, he said, dude, the way you teach is better than our product punya trainers, okay? Because our product trainers is just teaching how to masukkan text, teaching how to tukar color, how to do this, but you are showing how it will actually affect the working world. The things that you can do to enhance presentations rather than just explaining functions. So I'm giving scenarios, I'm giving best practices and all that. So it came to a point where, yes, Microsoft tried to promote me, where they kata, oh, the next time you do your public classes, we want to put 20 Microsoft Surface so that for your audience to try out. Dia orang nak letak produk dia orang pula in my classes. So I'm like, hey, payahlah, no, I'm not paid by Microsoft, but yes, Microsoft did try to endorse their products with me, but I tak nak lagi kot. Okay, so any other questions? I saw a written question just now. Is there a written question somewhere, Akila?
Yes, I'll read the question. So from Khairatul Najiha, in situations where a meeting is called suddenly, how do we make our presentation slides that are still appealing in a short amount of time?
Okay, good question, Khairatul. If you have a short turnaround time, there is one concept called minimalism. Okay, so I'm sure you all know what minimalism is. Reduce the amount of objects in your slides, make things very clear in terms of, remember the one message per slide, play with black and white or choose 3 colors. That's it. Yeah. So and I'm going to give you a little secret, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, boys and girls, is that the best way to immediately improve the looks on your slides is the type of fonts that you use. Yeah. The font types play a very, very important role in design. So what I recommend is this. Walaupun PowerPoint Microsoft they only provide certain X amount of fonts yang ready-made inside our Microsoft Office. We have our Arial, our Calibri, our Impact, our Comic Sans. But what you can do, tuan-tuan puan-puan, go to Google, search for Google Fonts. Yeah, Google Fonts. When you search Google Fonts, you will arrive to a website where there are over 1,000 designer fonts done by typeface punya designers from all over the world and all that you can download these designer fonts into your font folder dalam your laptop, so that the next time you buka your Microsoft Office, whether it's Word ke, Excel ke, PowerPoint ke, you will be presented with a lot of nicer fonts to play with, right? And the new fonts, the new designer fonts will instantly give your slides a better look. And if you're worried that, you buat this type, you're using a certain Google font, but the moment you pass it to the next person, that person doesn't have the Google font, that person will only see Arial or Calibri, it will go back to standard. So that is one of the main concerns if you're using a non-traditional font. But what I just demonstrated to you just now is that if you can paste your fonts as pictures, you want to retain the design, but bila you dah design dia punya, you dah pakai font tu, but you paste it as an image, immediately the design is retained, regardless of whoever you pass it to what computer, because that text has been recognized as an image already, so it doesn't change. Yeah, so if you have a short span of time, simple, go minimalism, very simple layout, one message per slide, play around with font types, and that's it. That's the fastest way to make it look clean, make it look structured, make it look organized. Yeah, it doesn't mean this is not a coloring contest. It doesn't mean lagi color you letak lagi cantik your slides will look like. No, don't. That's a very bad mentality to have. Go minimalist, go very simple, and inshallah it will look clean. Yeah, okay. So any more questions, everybody? You know how simple I am, so I hope tak ada orang yang dah malu sekarang. And then if there's that, I hope please utilize this opportunity. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Arif.
Okay, so Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Hakimi. I have a question regarding on your presentation. So basically what I understood from your presentation is that you prioritize the quality instead of quantity, because redundancy is not considered, how do you say, people don't value redundancy much. So my question is, when it comes to presentation, what is the best time, how long is considered the best time period for one to present the presentation?
No, there is no fix. By the way, very cute bow tie, Arif.
Thank you.
I like, now there is no fix, what do you call it, there's no optimum timing of what's too long for a presentation or what's too short, because certain subjects will take a longer time, but certain subjects you can have it done in 15 or 10 minutes. Now the biggest problem, the biggest perception that we all have to remove is that a lot of people think that the number of slides is a problem. Yeah, if we do 100 slides is a problem, 150 slides is a problem. Now I just want to make it clear once and for all to everybody that the number of slides in your presentation has never ever been the problem. The biggest problem has always been the amount of things we put in each slide. Is the amount of content or the amount of objects we jam into each slide that is the problem. Yeah, so I'll give you an example. Imagine you sit through 30 slides, but all the 30 slides, the content in each slide is so, padat that it's at the very tip of every slide penuh dengan content. Your eyes will just go crazy, even at 30 slides. Versus you have 100 slides, but they're clean. You have one sentence per slide accompanied by a single icon next to it and all that. The longevity or the sustainability in an audience to go through 100 slides that look good and look clean is higher than that having to go through 30 messy, padat, overly congested slides. Yeah. So I want everybody today to start removing the preconceived idea where kalau banyak sangat slide is a problem. No, it is not about the number of slides. it is the number of objects we put in each slide. That is the problem. So bear that in mind. There is no fixed time. Now, effectiveness in terms of timing, if you all have heard of the term elevator pitch, yeah. Now, if for some of you have not heard of the term elevator pitch, I'm going to tell you what an elevator pitch is. This is particularly useful in a proposal, yeah, tuan-tuan. Imagine you have an idea and you want to share it with somebody that has money so that you can get a startup capital to run this idea. So naturally, you probably look for a CEO like Tony Fernandez ke apa ke. You don't have Tony Fernandez's email, you don't have his phone number, so you wait for him at the lobby. So one day, you see him walking across that lobby, going into the lift. You selit masuk pandai-pandai, diam-diam ubi, you will go into the lift with him and you sit there. From the ground floor to his office on the 55th floor, you have that time window. What do you sell to him? Yeah? So think about it that way. If you have 15 minutes or if you have 10 minutes only with a high level person, what should be prioritized? What would be the decision making point? What is your USP? What's the unique selling proposition? Don't talk to him about process flows. Don't talk to him about execution punya stuff, the hands and legs, the mechanisms. No. When you have a short frame to present, present the concept, present the ideas, present the value of your ideas and things like that. So always think like that, because when it comes to CEOs or very high level people that you're presenting, they value your idea, they value your thoughts, the thinking process. You know, they don't want to know about the mechanisms or the costing, how long it takes and things like that, because they have people under them to manage all that. Yeah. So depending on who your audience are, if your audience are top decision makers, please focus on emphasizing on the concepts and the ideas and the thought. Yeah. Whereas if you're meeting with managers, people who manage campaigns and all that, then you focus more on closing gaps and then going through all the technicalities and details. So be very mindful of who you're presenting it to so that you know which portion of your content to emphasize on. And that should give you an idea on how long it will take for you to deliver your presentation effectively. I hope that answers your question, Aid.
It does. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Any other question? Ada tak? Okay. Kalau tak dia for now, it's all right. Akila, if I may, I will just put in my email address here, okay? Because I love sharing my knowledge with particularly with tertiary universities and things like that, you know. So it is something that I will always support. So that's my email address. You can see that jnpowerpoint@gmail.com. If you have any questions or you're doing some sort of a homework and all that, and you want me to have a look at it, you want my opinion, feel free to reach out to me. Normally my after sales service is quite good, and that means if you ada apa-apa question that you want to ask, as and when I have the opportunity and the window and the time, I will try to respond to you guys and give you my honest feedbacks as well, and give you tips on what you can do better. I hope that will help for those who don't have any questions right now. Okay.
And can I ask one last question, please?
Yes, Karatun, of course you can.
Okay. Usually I have a hard time mixing fonts when doing presentation. In your opinion, how many types of fonts should I go with in a single presentation? Okay.
Now, fonts have they are primarily consisted of three primary families. You have a serif font, SERIF. You have a sans serif font, SANSSERIF, sans serif. Yeah, and you have a script and display font. For those who's not sure what these three font families are, now traditional looking fonts, the one yang macam like Times New Roman, like Garamond, these are fonts where at the very edges of the text. Yeah, they are the spikes. Now, I'm gonna share my screen with you if you don't mind. I'm gonna share the screen. Let me see. Wait. Okay. Can you all see my screen? Boleh ya? Okay. Now I'm gonna quickly open something for you. Let's see this. Now, fonts. When it comes to fonts, I'm gonna share this very quickly. Okay. These are the font families. Okay. The serif fonts are like Times New Roman, Book Antiqa, Garamond. Serif is always at the corner of every single sentence or every single letter. There's an additional spike. Dia ada macam tajam-tajam, paku-paku dekat ujung dia. At the very, you see the end here. At the very edges of the letter N, there are spikes. Macam ada jarum-jarum. Yeah. So any font that has this kind of additional strokes at the edges are known as serif fonts. Sans serif. So please say correctly, guys. If you want to sound intelligent, we don't say sans serif. Sans serif. Sans means no in French. That means it doesn't have all these spikes and all that. They are completely round, like your Arial, your Calibri, your Century Gothic, and all that. So sans serif fonts are very clean. They're very rounded. Where serif fonts have all these spikes, very traditional and all that. Now, I would recommend the most you can do, try to play with 2 fonts or maximum 3 fonts. But just retain the between serif and sans serif. There's a third element, there's a third font family which is called a script and display font. And these are the ones that look like handwriting, like your Comic Sans lah, your cursive like French script, Bradley hand. Anything that looks like handwriting is known as a script and display font. Now, try to not to play too much with script and display, because this is a bit too relaxed, it's a bit too informal, and the moment you mixed it with something as traditional and something as a legacy looking like Times New Roman and all that, it starts to have an identity crisis. But the moment you play with sans serif and serif, just this from these 2 families, it starts to look good. Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
We can't see the slides.
You can't see the slides?
Yeah.
No one else can see. Can anybody else see it? No.
No.
What about now? Sekarang boleh nampak?
No.
Okay, never mind. I don't know what something is wrong with my knee. But anyway, what I can explain to you now is just Google the difference between serif and sans serif. Yeah, these are 2 different font families. Just play around with a serif family and a sans serif family. In fact, if you want to learn all about this more, I would really recommend attending my class in the immediate future, so that you get to know more about it. Yeah. So nanti, if you all are interested, just let me know. I can probably arrange one for you, or arrange a set for you all, a set of seats for you all to join. And student punya rate lah, okay lah, bagi murah gila lah. It's not a big deal. But if you are really keen on learning about typefaces, learning about design, learning about techniques on PowerPoint and things like that, do come for it. Yeah, do come for it. It's a full day training on a Saturday. Yeah. The next class will be on the 30th of March. Yeah, for the full class, 13 hari bulan. The second one will be on the 20th of March, the next Saturday, where I will talk more about infographics. The first one is about typefaces, about design, about pie charts and things like that. The second Saturday is zooming in about infographics, because trust me, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, when you start working, you're going to do a lot of infographics. Yeah. So yes, I would love to elaborate more, but I think it's better if you experience the class on your own and join it. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Tak ada Okay lah. In that case, Akila, I think you can take back the floor, and then that I've given my email address. Apa-apa, you all can always reach out to me. Inshallah, I will do my best to attend to each and every one of you. Yeah.
All right, sure. Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, we have come to the end of our talk. All in all, we would like to wish and express our sincerest gratitude to our speaker of the day for this great information. And we also would like to thank the lecturer as well as everyone here for your participation and support throughout this talk. So next, we wish to apologize for any recurring inconvenience during the course of this event. Thus marks the end of our talk, and maybe this club can spark the student spirit to continue striving the best for the better future, especially in the field of public relations. And may you spend the rest of your day in high spirit. As always, wear your mask and stay safe. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before we go, I would like kindly ask everyone to remain in this online room for a brief photo session. And may I ask all of our guests to please turn on your camera and strike your most confident pose.
Yo,
Please.
most confident pose. What is that? Okay, ready? You all can see me. I think my yeah is on. Alright, boleh.
Yeah. So please remain in your pose for 5 seconds for us to screen capture it. Okay? Okay, ready? All right. Okay, thank you.
Oh, penat bro.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Thank you everybody. Assalamualaikum and stay safe everyone.